Well, hello everybody. This is Kevin Quigley with Tarot Off the Cuff. We've been at this channel for about 6 months now, and we've got exactly videos posted. This one will be the 51st video. So we've been looking at what we're calling phase 2. Where are we going to head? What's going to happen next? And we're pretty excited about that. One of the things that we've done is we've added new tarot readers. There's a whole group of new readers. We've more than doubled the number of readers that are going to be producing content for us. So look forward to seeing some new faces, maybe some that you know, maybe some that you don't know. New decks and all of sorts of things like that. So that's going to be great. We're also sharpening our focus for this particular playlist. It's not the whole brand of the channel, but the idea is that somebody pulls a card, and then rather than talking specifically about the card, we're interested them in taking the card and leading it over to a topic that might help open somebody's mind or make somebody that's already working with the tarot cards into an even better reader, or from only reading personally for friends and family, that's a really common development path for people, into reading for the public and doing good work that way. We're so glad that you're joining us for these particular conversations, and our desire is to make as many great helpers and light workers to help humanity in this particular time of need. So that's sharpening our focus, is looking for other topics. And then the last one that I wanted to mention is forming, we're taking a look at the future and where we're going to head. What are our future possibilities? So we've got about 5 or 6 different ideas for different kinds of videos that we'll be able to produce. One of them we started experimenting with right away. We've released 2 of them, and those are the longer conversations. We'll get another one of those up relatively soon. I've got a large number of readers that are interested in making those happen. So that's going to be exciting as well. Now, I'm going to do an actual 10-minute talk as well, just like before. And I brought the Light Seer's Tarot. It's that new copy of a tarot deck that I have, and I've been reading with it with clients. I've been pulling cards from it for myself and teaching classes with it too. I've got a new class on court cards that starts next week. So I'm going to give this a quick shuffle and then take a minute to pull that card and see where that is going to lead us. And I have sort of in the back of my mind, what is thoughts about sort of phase 2 of making the next step in growth towards the next level of whatever it is that you're doing. But for tarot readers in particular, it's what I talked about in the intro. Maybe the idea of, oh, I'm ready to move from reading for close friends to reading for the public, or maybe I'm ready to get a job as a tarot reader, reading for a hotline or a website or something like that, or anything along those lines. All right, so I'm going to take a quick minute to center and focus myself. Here we go. All right, so I've got a card here. The 7 of Swords. Quite interesting. I love when this particular card comes up in teaching situations. One of the things it does, in my opinion, is reminds me to remind myself and or the people I'm reading for, or the students that might be in a particular class, that there are cards that many readers have positive and or negative associations with, right? So lots of cards in the Swords suit we actually might feel are negative cards. They're difficult cards. The 3 of Swords is hard. The 10 of Swords is often even kind of scary. And then the 7 of Swords is another one. It's been labeled as deceit or deception or lying or dirty business or those kinds of things. And in the Light Seer's Tarot, I love this illustration because we're not entirely sure what this person is up to. He's standing at the top of some cliff looking sort of downwards in the moonlight. So, right, there's some clandestine idea that's a little dark. He's got 3 crows around him. There are feathers in his poking out of his backpack, and several of them have flown away and out. And the crow that's down here in the nest looks none too happy, screeching away at something. And in his left hand, he's holding a knife. So there are things in this card that could be interpreted as dark or sinister, but James Wells is a great tarot reader from Toronto. He also teaches tarot and a number of other things. One of the workshop that I attended many years ago that he had taught was about finding positives and negative interpretations for all cards. So there are, that's what I'm going to take a look at in terms of, okay, moving on to the next place. And I want to take a look mostly at the positives, but if the negatives come up into the topic, I'll bring them up and we'll talk about it. Positives for the Seven of Swords. Grace, allowing yourself to move fluidly and flexibly. I'm going to even say political correctness or savvy speech, not necessarily to deceive, but in order to speak properly in a way that is not just socially acceptable, but makes it more likely that your points will be understood and heard. Right. So I belong to a class of tarot readers that's relatively direct. I'm this way as well as a director of, theatrical and performing arts too. And somehow over the years, I've developed the ability to deliver really direct feedback to somebody, whether we're on stage and artists are open-hearted and vulnerable, or whether it's in a tarot reading and somebody, my client might not yet have owned up to the way in which they're participating in a situation that's troubling to them, right? I've somehow developed the ability to deliver that kind of information in a way that doesn't feel so critical. I think this is a really important skill for a reader to do. One of my techniques, here's a bedrock technique that I can deliver. You can take this and put it right into your reading practice right now, if you're not already using it, is when you have information to deliver to someone that you think they might resist or might not be open to, or, not want to hear, or something along those lines, is I take a second and I take a good deep breath and I'll say something along the lines of, I've got some direct feedback about how you might be participating in this situation in a way that maybe you don't realize yet. Are you ready to hear that? Or would you like to hear it? Or would you rather I not mention that? I've never encountered, no, that's not true. Now, as soon as I said it, I can think of one time where somebody was not ready to hear it and they knew it. So they actually responded with, I don't have the space right now to take any extra criticism. So I said, okay, we'll leave it. By the end of that particular reading, they were ready and they asked. They said, remember that thing that you had mentioned? I think I can hear it now, because we had covered other ground and they were feeling much more solid. Right. But giving them the agency to choose to hear it and giving them just a moment to sort of open the door. Because oftentimes as tarot readers, we turn into supporters. And I think that's good. That's one of the things our clients are coming to us for. But part of being a supporter is also expecting the best of people. It's also helping people be more conscious about what's happening, right? So these are important qualities in terms of support. And that doesn't mean that we just have to be sunshine and rainbows with regards to how we're relating to somebody. Okay, so that being said, you give that moment. They get to breathe, you get to breathe, they get to make a choice. Am I on for this? Or do I need to protect myself? Do I need to draw a boundary, right? And then you respect the boundary. That's huge, right? So one of the things, like with a YouTube video like this, now I'm not going to be criticizing you, right? Watching this, I have no idea who you are, and hopefully we'll have in time thousands of people that have been able to see this. But by clicking on a YouTube video, you are saying, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to handle the content. And then if you discover, oh, I don't like it, right? Then you can click away, right? So that's an interesting thing. Like keeping people engaged for a channel that way is to make sure that you're talking with a real positive side, the real positive side of that Seven of Swords. Am I involving myself with right speech? Another piece that comes up with this idea with the grace is 7 for me is a magical number. 7 is the one number that you cannot draw a perfect heptagon, right? There's no way to do that because 7 does not divide into 360 evenly. It creates an irrational number like pi, one that goes on forever and ever and ever. So it's this, it's a figure, a geometric figure that can't be manifested in three-dimensional space-time. cannot be made, right? So for me, that makes 7 a number all about magic and possibility and being open to the impossible, to the manifestation of the impossible. And this for me is what grace really is all about. Grace is an allowance where one opens oneself to allowing divine or mystical forces or wisdom or intelligence or possibility to enter their sphere of understanding, and then to come through them as a channel, right? And swords is about, for me, is about thinking, it's about speech, it's about understanding and cognition, right? And action. So the 7 of Swords is a piece about magic and manifesting and making things real in the world that maybe one thought were impossible. So to a degree, creating this channel is one of those things. I had the idea years and years ago for exactly the channel, the way we're building it. And I just hadn't had time in my life as a teacher and a tarot reader and an artist and all these other things I do to actually wrangle the other readers I wanted to get involved and to actually start to make it happen. That was a huge project, and it just felt like a giant mountain that I couldn't climb. So COVID-19 comes into the picture, and I'm looking and I realize, oh, all of my performance time, rehearsal time and performance time is going to disappear because we need to quarantine. What am I going to do with that time? Oh, it's now time to get on to one of these projects. There's 5 of these projects that have been floating around. Tarot Off the Cuff is the one I picked, and I couldn't be happier. It's going great. And then it turns out that I didn't have the time at all because finding qualified teachers for the schools in my area got really difficult. So my teaching hours exploded. And I more than made up for the lost hours of my arts work that I would do with other people, rehearsals and things, with new hours as a teacher. So all of this channel stuff has been happening with me having less time than I did, even though I thought this was going to be, oh, now I have time to move on something. So that's been hysterical to me. I've been working my butt off to make these things, you know, to get the videos up and have everything be on time and all of that sort of stuff. I'm super grateful to all of the people that have been helping with that, me with that. There's quite a few of them. I'm super grateful for all of the readers that have stepped in to do this and stepped up and have done such great work. And this is all about the 7 of Swords, because a YouTube channel, in particular this one, is about talking. In fact, the playlist we're doing is called 10-Minute Talks. So this idea of allowing grace to enter in to your speech and to your thought pattern and your pattern of action, to let yourself be led and to do it. Do it. This is, if you're wondering about how do I step into the next phase of my reading as a practice, just do it. Whatever that phase is. If you're like, oh, I need to start reading for people that I don't know. I need to put up a shingle. I need to start taking money, accepting money for readings. Do it. Now is the time. If you're at the level where, oh, I'm interested in taking a tarot class. Now is the time. Step in. Do it. You will never, that old adage, I'm not sure where it comes from, I wish I did, but the idea of you'll never feel ready for the next step. You just never do. So if you wait until you feel ready, you become static. You live a static life, never change, never grow. So jump in and make things happen. I'm just about out of time, but I do want to switch over to that other side of the 7 because I know that lots of people will be thirsty for it. The place where the grace gets broken in the 7 of Swords is when the ego steps in. And the ego, for me, is this part of the human being that is the navigator in terms of how we operate in our world. And in fact, the ego belongs, for me, in the Suit of Swords. That's where the ego lives. It's not supposed to be the driver. It's supposed to be the one holding the map and making sure that we follow the most efficient path. But every once in a while, not every once in a while, I think for most people, constantly, all the time, the ego wants to grab the wheel and push the driver out of the way. For me, the driver is the heart. The real driver is our sense of truth and rightness. And that's in the Suit of Cups. That's the heart. That is the wisest driver. But the navigator, the one that helps us get there, that finds the path, is the ego, is that intellectual mind. Now, if the ego is so focused on the actual world that's right in front of you that it steps in and starts to edit the things that you're going to say, then you wind up getting into a situation where you're blocking grace. So you may be in a state of allowance where you're allowing divine guidance to come in, and then before the action happens, before the choice gets made, before the conversation happens, before you schedule the reading or decide what you're going to say in the reading, the ego comes in and nudges you, sometimes harshly, but usually it's really soft and subtle, where it'll say, is that the right way to word that? Or did you see that correctly? All the doubts come in, and then you edit, and then you speak. I'm going to go so far as to say is that's not truthful. It's not truthful for you, and it's not helpful for your clients or the other person you're talking to. So that's an important one, making sure that you stay high-minded, because where the ego sits, it can also, can I turn my hands this way? Yes, it can also look up to the heavens, where the suit of cups and the suit of wands deliver us the real information that we need. They deliver us the truth. They deliver us the sense of knowing, as opposed to the sense of figuring things out, or the sense of contriving or conniving, right? Those are all lower ego things. The ego likes to push for results, and the heart likes to recognize the truth. So, as you make your next steps forward, I wish upon you that sense of grace that the Seven of Swords can deliver. I wish upon you freedom from contrived or connived machinery in your process before you make your decision or your choice, or you decide what to say. And I hope for the same things for the Tarot on the Cuff channel, with all the changes that we're making and going through. Okay. That was the Seven of Swords from the Light Seers Tarot. I am Kevin Quigley. I've been speaking to you from Tarot Off the Cuff, and we hope to see you again and again and again. Leave some comments or feedback down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Thanks so much. Bye. Hi, thanks for watching. This is Kevin Quigley with Tarot Off the Cuff. If you can take a second, click the subscribe button down below. That'll let you know when a new video is posted, and you might want to jump over and watch it. If you hit the thumbs up for the videos that you really like, that will help spread the word, so new people will find Tarot Off the Cuff in their feed, and that helps the channel grow. That would be great. And if you got a question or a comment, positive or negative, whether you agree or disagree, or if you want to add information or your own take on a particular card or a particular topic, put a comment down below. We would love to hear from you. Thanks so much.